Heartwarming discovery, billionaire exposed to incredible truth of twin sisters' 6-year struggle. In the heart of a bustling Midwestern city, lives collided in a way that would change everything. Mark Whitman, a billionaire titan of industry, stood in a high-rise penthouse, preparing for his annual charity gala, an event where glimmering attire and affluent laughter masked the harsh realities a few streets away. As he meticulously adjusted his bespoke suit, he thought about the accolades he would earn this evening. Philanthropy was a fine accessory, much like his tailored cufflinks. What he didn't know was that today, fate had other plans, and the life he took for granted would soon expose the raw truth of struggle right in front of him. Meanwhile, 2 blocks away at Martinez Bread's, twin sisters Ella and Mia were fighting against suffocating odds. Since their father's passing, the bakery had become a sanctuary for their family's love, infused into every loaf and pastry. The scent of fresh bread lingered in the air as laughter filled the space, yet urgency simmered beneath the surface. Days ago, a crushing rent hike threatened their legacy. The bakery wasn't just their business, it was their connection to a community they adored, and they were not giving up without a fight. With baking trays still warm, they assembled a plan: bake sales, flyers, community meetings. They would rally their neighbors. This was about family, love, and survival. As the week unfolded, their plight gained traction. Local news crews captured their determination, and Mark, channel surfing in his marble fortress, paused as the sisters' story unfolded on the screen. Their eyes glistened with desperation. Their voices trembled with poignant hope. "We just need help. We can't lose this place." For the first time, the billionaire felt a tightening in his chest. Their struggle mirrored the loneliness he felt in his gilded life. Was it truly enough to throw money at a problem? Or was there something more profound he was missing? Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. The night of the charity gala arrived, wrapped in glitz and glamour. Amidst the clinking glasses and resplendent laughter, Ella and Mia exchanged anxious glances. Dressed in their best, they dared to step into this world of affluence, propelled by the love of their family and community. They approached Mark, their voices steady despite their trembling hearts. But when they shared their story, the momentum shifted. Surprise morphed into tension. Mark's initial dismissiveness vibrated with something deeper within him. His mind raced, struggling to reconcile his privilege against their plight. Could he truly turn a blind eye, continue basking in his privilege while they fought desperately for survival? The air crackled with urgency. Ella and Mia had come for help, but had unwittingly illuminated the hollowness of Mark's rapid success. What happened next was a moment suspended in time. A choice loomed before him. Written checks felt superficial now, hollow gestures that could not bring the warmth of real connection. Would he join the sisters in their struggle, or would he retreat to the comfort of wealth? As the evening reached its crescendo, the decision hung heavily in the air, leaving their fates intertwined and uncertain. Would the sisters' bakery rise from the ashes, or would the heart of their community diminish with each passing day? For Mark, the path ahead was unclear, a journey that promised transformation if only he dared to take the first step. The world felt different now, and the night pulsed with real possibilities. Mark found himself in a whirlwind of emotions. He stood there, surrounded by well-dressed elites, the sound of laughter and clinking glasses fading into a dull hum. Meanwhile, Ella and Mia's earnest plea echoed in his mind. The images of their bustling bakery, filled with the warmth of their shared life and love, fought for his attention against the sterile beauty of his own surroundings. A knot formed in his stomach. As he scanned the crowd, he realized the stark contrast between his life and theirs. Their fight for survival was raw, real, and desperately hopeful. Yet here he was, a man untouched by such urgency, living behind walls so high he sometimes felt invisible even to himself. With every step he took further into the gala, doubt crept in. Was he really making an impact, or just polishing the veneer of his wealth? A sudden thrum of determination surged through him. As he excused himself from a conversation about the latest luxury yacht, Mark turned and made a beeline for the entrance. The cool air bit at his skin as he stepped outside. He needed to get to Martinez Breads. He needed to connect. Down the street, lights twinkled along the bakery's modest windows, the inviting glow a stark contrast to the gala's pomp. When he arrived, a sense of home enveloped him. The chime of the doorbell rang familiar, and his heart raced at the prospect of facing Ella and Mia again. Inside, the sisters were sorting through the remnants of a busy day, laughter punctuating their work as they shared stories with a handful of loyal customers lingering over the last pastries. The room smelled of cinnamon and sugar, comforting in a world that often felt so cold. But when his looming figure loomed in the doorway, the laughter dwindled. "I need to talk to you," Mark said, his voice unsteady but resolute. He could see the surprise on their faces, their eyes darting between each other. "Aren't you at the gala?" Mia asked, confusion etched on her face. "I was," he replied, stepping forward, the weight of their reality grounding him. "But I realized I was about to miss the most important part of my night." Ella tilted her head, her brow furrowed. "What do you mean?" Mark paused, searching for the right words. "I want to help. Not just with a check. I want to really be involved. With the bakery. With you if you'll have me." The sisters exchanged glances, their hearts racing with a mix of hope and skepticism. "You don't know what you're asking for," Ella finally said, her voice cautious, as if protecting something precious. "I might not know everything," he replied, "but I'm ready to learn. I want to understand the struggle you face. I want to stand with you not just as a wealthy donor, but as a part of this community." The ambient noise in the bakery faded away. For a moment, time seemed to stand still as the absurdity of his proposal hung in the air. Then, a glimmer of anticipation flickered in Mia's eyes. "What are you thinking?" she asked softly. But before Mark could respond, the bakery's door swung open with a sudden gust of wind. Outside, a community of neighbors began to gather, drawn by the light and warmth of Martinez Breads, their faces showing determination and support. Only then did Mark fully realize the weight of his commitment. As he looked at Ella and Mia, their expressions measured yet hopeful, he felt a shift deep within himself. He was ready to dive into this unexpected journey alongside them, but first, they needed to rally their community. "Let us figure this out together," he said, his chest swelling with something he hadn't felt in years. But would the sisters trust him? Would the community accept this reluctant billionaire into their battle? The air pulsed with questions, and one truth remained: if they were going to stand a chance, they would have to unite against a tide of adversity. With the fate of the bakery hanging in the balance, the stakes had never been higher. Mark's heart raced as he watched the crowd gather outside the bakery, a sea of familiar faces that had always been around but never truly seen. He felt a flicker of hope mixed with trepidation as the murmurs grew louder, woven with the sweet scent of baked goods and the warmth of community. This was not just a bakery, it was a lifeline for them all. Mia shifted her weight, her eyes darting between Mark and the door. "What can we do?" she asked, her voice a blend of excitement and fear. Ella stepped forward, taking charge as she always did. "We need to show them how important this place is. We need to share our story." Mark nodded, suddenly feeling more in tune with the sisters than he ever had at the gala. "I'll help you," he said firmly. The words felt like a promise, solid and unwavering. Together, Mia echoed, her face lighting up with belief. The trio stepped outside, the crisp evening air wrapping around them like a comforting blanket. The neighbors, their faces shining with resolve, looked expectantly at the sisters. It was their strength, a palpable energy rooted in years of hard work and shared laughter. "Everyone!" Ella called, her voice confident and inviting. "Thank you for coming. We have something special to share." Mark stood behind her, realizing that his presence alone signaled hope. The crowd quieted, listening intently as Mia began to recount their journey. She spoke of the struggles they faced, the long nights spent perfecting recipes, and the sacrifices that got them to this moment. "And all of this is more than just bread," she said, her voice trembling slightly. "It's family, it's love. This bakery is a part of all of us." Mark felt his chest swell. Each word Mia spoke connected him deeper to the community. He could see the nods of agreement, the smiles, the understanding that flickered throughout the crowd. This is what real impact looked like, not just polished numbers on a balance sheet. As the sisters finished, Ella surprisingly turned to Mark. "We need your help, Mark. Not just money, but skills, ideas. We want to make this place thrive, to be a hub for our community." Mark felt the weight of their request settle over him like a shroud. The idea of crafting something meaningful alongside them felt right, but could he really step into a world so different from his own? I want to," he stammered, feeling the weight of their gaze. "I've spent too long hiding in my world. I'm ready to try." With a nod of encouragement from Ella, he stepped closer to the crowd. "What if we hold a community bake-off?" he proposed, the idea bubbling to the surface. "A day where everyone brings their best recipes, we sell what we can, and donate whatever we make for bakery improvements. We could work together." Murmurs of excitement rippled through the crowd. Eyes lit up with anticipation as they began to envision the possibilities. But the moment was interrupted as a shadow loomed behind Mark. The bakery door swung open, revealing the stern face of a local council member. "Excuse me," he said, cutting through the rising enthusiasm like a knife. "What is going on here? You all need permits for gatherings like this." A hush fell over the crowd, deflating the excitement in an instant. Anxiety threaded through Mark, the stakes suddenly feeling higher. As tension rose, Mark exchanged glances with Ella and Mia. Determination sparked within him. He wouldn't back down now. "Let us find a way to make this work," he said, fueled by the hope and resolve coursing through him. Together, they would fight for their community, for the bakery, and for something greater than any of them realized. But could they stand up against the looming restrictions? Would the community rally even against opposition? The air crackled with the uncertainty of what lay ahead, leaving Mark to wonder just how far he would go to protect this newfound connection. The silence stretched like a thin curtain, the anticipation palpable as the council member continued to scan the crowd. Mark took a breath, willing the weight of uncertainty off his chest. "We're just trying to show how important this bakery is to our community," he said, his voice steady yet filled with urgency. "This isn't just about bread, it's about each other." Murmurs of agreement rippled through the crowd like a wave crashing against a shore. He could see some faces nodding, eyes brightening with renewed hope and determination. "Look," the council member said, his voice softer but still authoritative. "I'm not against what you're trying to accomplish. But the law is the law. You need a permit for gatherings, or I'll have to shut this down." Ella stepped forward, her demeanor calm but fierce. "We'd like to work with you, sir. This isn't a protest, it's a way to celebrate our community. Can we find a compromise?" The council member hesitated, glancing at the eager faces of familiar neighbors. He seemed to weigh the gravity of the moment against the rules. Mark held his breath, hoping this was a time for understanding and partnership rather than division. "Compromise," the council member repeated, almost to himself. "How many are we expecting?" "Hundreds," Mia said, her eyes bright with passion. "This bakery brings people together. We want to show that." The council member rubbed his chin, looking uncertain. "If you can prove it, I might be able to help get you a temporary permit. But I can't promise anything." Mark's stomach flipped at the prospect, but he nodded firmly. "We will prove it. We can show you how important this place is by the turnout alone." The crowd erupted in cheers, their excitement bubbling over once more. The sisters exchanged determined looks, a spark igniting within them, pushing Mark to feel that same sense of purpose. "Let us go bigger," Ella said, her voice rising above the din. "We could add a raffle, a kids' activity corner, maybe even a special guest or two." Mark felt the energy shift. This was more than just a bakery, this was a movement. What if we partnered with local businesses? They could sponsor some of the activities. "We'll show you all the people who care, how much we can raise together," he suggested, riding the wave of enthusiasm that swelled in the air. The crowd buzzed with new ideas, their voices rising higher, speaking of local farms contributing ingredients for the bake-off or restaurants donating gift cards. The energy was electric, and amidst it all, Mark felt a sense of belonging he hadn't experienced in years. As they started brainstorming, Mark's heart lifted. For the first time, he felt like part of something larger, something critical to the very fabric of this community. The sisters exchanged glances of excitement, their plans slowly unfolding. But just as the momentum gathered, another voice cut through the cheer. A woman from the back stepped forward. "What if we don't get the permit in time? What if we plan all this and it all falls through?" Mark felt the blood drain from his face, her concern echoing in his mind. What if they failed? The excitement that had filled him began to wane under the weight of doubt. "Then we adapt," Mark replied, standing a little taller. "We've come this far. We won't let anything stop us now." The crowd surged again, voices lifting in agreement, rekindled by the shared determination. "Together, we can do this," Ella shouted, raising her arms, her energy infusing the crowd with a newfound excitement. They looked ready to battle any hurdle that came their way. But in the back of his mind, Mark couldn't shake the question, when would they know if it was enough? As he captured the faces around him, hope and uncertainty weaving a delicate tapestry, he wondered if they could really pull this off. The potential of their task loomed like an adventure yet to unfold, a promise hanging just within reach. Would they find their way through the maze of permits and proposals? The bakery stood strong against the odds, but Mark knew that true strength would be tested in the days to come. Would the community rise together, or would those doubts keep them down? Early the next morning, Mark gathered with Ella and Mia at the bakery. The sun streamed through the windows, casting a warm glow on the flour-dusted countertops. The aroma of fresh bread filled the air, a comforting reminder of why they were fighting so hard. Ella, armed with a notepad, began jotting down ideas for their big event. "Okay, we need a catchy name for the festival. Something that really highlights our community spirit," she said, her brow furrowed in deep thought. Mia chimed in, her voice bright. "What about bread, love, and community? It captures it all." Mark laughed, the tension from yesterday easing slightly. "It's a mouthful, but it's catchy. Plus, it ties in everything we want to show." He felt the warmth from their earlier meeting radiate through him again, igniting his passion. The trio continued brainstorming, throwing out ideas for activities and potential sponsors. Each suggestion fueled their enthusiasm, yet lurking in the back of Mark's mind was a nagging worry. "Let us not forget we need to ensure we gather enough support. We should start a social media campaign," Ella suggested. "We can create a Facebook event, maybe even an Instagram page." "Yeah, and we can post those photos of the bakery over the years," Mia added excitedly. "It'll show our journey and how much it means to everyone." "Right," Mark replied, "but we also need to reach out to the local news. They might want to cover the story if we frame it right." As the day wore on, they divided tasks, feeling a sense of urgency propelling them forward. Mark headed to check in with local farmers to get donations, while the sisters organized flyers and social media posts. The next few days flew by in a blur of activity. The town slowly buzzed with conversations about the festival. Mark could feel the energy shifting the longer they worked together. The once low voices of doubt began to quiet as people embraced the vision. But just when they thought they had turned the tide, Mark received a phone call that sent chills down his spine. It was the council member. "Mark, I'm sorry to call you so late, but I need to talk to you about your event. There are some complications." Mark's heart raced. "Complications? What do you mean?" The council member hesitated. "There have been complaints about the size of your gathering. Some local businesses are concerned it will disrupt their operations. We may need to reconsider the permits." Mark's gut twisted. All their plans hung in the balance. He fought to keep calm. "Isn't there something we can do? Maybe hold a smaller event?" "There might be a way, but you'll need to meet with the council members next week to discuss modifications," he replied, his tone apologetic. As he hung up, Mark felt the weight of the world on his shoulders. He stepped outside, the cool air biting against his skin. Doubts crept back in, whispering fears that they might lose everything they had built. Reluctantly, he shared the news with Ella and Mia. The change in their expressions was immediate, their hope dimming with the announcement of the restrictions. "But we've worked too hard," Ella said, her voice trembling. "We can't let a few complaints stop us." Mark nodded, his heart pounding. "We will find a way. There's too much at stake now." The sisters exchanged a look of determination, reawakening the fire that had ignited in that council meeting. They were not finished yet. "Let us meet with the council, show them what we can do," Mia suggested. "We had everyone on board once, we can do it again." As they strategized, a surge of resolve filled the room. The thought of letting down their community stung deeply. But deep down, Mark felt another worry. What if they gathered everyone they could, and it wasn't enough? Would they be enough? With questions still swirling in his mind, he wondered what obstacles lay ahead. Would they be able to face the council and transform the challenges into triumphs? And as the evening sun faded, the weight of anticipation settled heavily on Mark's shoulders. Would they encounter further resistance, or would this turning point ignite a vibrant new chapter for their beloved bakery? The breeze carried the scent of autumn leaves as Mark, Ella, and Mia settled around a table in the bakery. The once warm sunlight retreated further into the horizon, casting long shadows across the room. With their plans hanging in the balance, nerves bubbled below the surface. "Okay, so we meet with the council next week," Mark started, but his voice faded as the weight of uncertainty lingered. He looked at Ella and Mia, seeing the fire in their eyes, and tried to draw strength from it. "What if we create a showcase? Something that highlights the importance of our festival not just for us, but for the town. With music, food stands, and maybe a community mural." Ella proposed, her creativity visibly rekindled. Mia nodded. "Yes. We need to demonstrate how this event will bring people together, support local businesses, and celebrate our community as a whole." Mark felt a flicker of hope. "Exactly. If we show the council the joy at LL Spark, maybe they'll understand." Fueled with renewed energy, they began planning how they could transform the festival into a statement of unity. They discussed every detail: art, local musicians, vendors, each idea bringing more enthusiasm. Mark could see they all felt at the urgent pull of their shared dream. But the shadow of doubt still loomed like a dark cloud, hanging over every idea. What if the council remained unmoved? They might face another setback, and the thought sent a shiver through him. As they wrapped up their brainstorming session, Ella pulled out her phone. "Let us start a countdown to the event on social media. It will build excitement and keep the community engaged." Mark smiled at this idea. "Let us also share stories. Personal accounts from townsfolk who have their lives positively impacted. Real faces. Real voices." Mia grinned. "That's perfect. I know people who have been touched by our bakery. Their stories will remind everyone why we're fighting for this." And just like that, Mark felt a surge of determination. They would dig deep, gather stories, forge connections, and take the heart of their community with them into that meeting. Days passed, each filled with stories shared over the counters of the bakery. Customers came, some sharing heartbreaking, yet hopeful tales about how the bakery had made a difference in their lives. The stories became part of a collective energy rising in the small that brought Mark, Ella, and Mia closer to the community they loved. As the week ticked on, they posted updates, gathered support, and crafted a vision that seemed more vibrant than before. When they posted about the stories, people started to resonate. Likes and shares rolled in, demonstrating a rising tide of support from every corner of town. But then, on the eve of their meeting, as Mark prepared late into the night, his phone buzzed, lighting up the darkened room. It was a message from a local business owner he didn't expect. "Mark, we need to talk. I've been hearing whispers from the council. It might not be as simple as it seems." His heart raced. What did that mean? What could be lurking in the shadows, ready to upend all their hard work? Suddenly, a feeling of dread washed over him. Had their efforts awakened unwanted eyes? Were they fighting against more than they bargained for? As Mark stared out the window into the night, uncertainty mixed with determination, a strange cocktail of fear and resilience. What awaited them in that meeting? Would truth become their armor or their downfall? With these questions echoing in his mind, he wondered if they were truly ready for the challenges to come. Would the community's heartbeat be enough to carry them through the storm? And as darkness settled in, the night seemed to whisper a foreboding truth: they were about to face something far greater than just opposition. Morning light spilled into the bakery, slicing through the stillness like a knife. Mark felt the familiar tension creeping back as he prepared for the day. Ella and Mia arrived, their faces a mixture of excitement and anxiety. They exchanged hurried greetings, their voices barely breaking the silence that had settled between them since the anxious night. "Ready?" Mia asked, her hands fidgeting with the sleeves of her sweater. It was as if the fabric could absorb her worries. "As ready as we'll ever be," Mark replied, forcing a smile. But inside, uncertainty churned. Today was the day. Their dreams hung on whether the council would see the festival's potential, or if it would be crushed under the weight of indifference. They huddled together at their usual corner table, their phones buzzing with reminders and messages of support from the community. Mark opened the bakery's social media page, their countdown clock flashing ever closer to the appointed hour. A wave of warmth washed through him as he scanned the comments filled with encouragement. The local community rallied around them, each message a reminder that they weren't alone in this fight. "Okay, let us run through our points again," Mark said, trying to steady his nerves. "We need to focus on the stories we shared. Each one speaks not just for ourselves but for the spirit of this town." Ella's eyes sparkled with energy. "And we have to remind them why this festival means so much. It's not just food and music, it's a chance for the town to come together." Mia nodded, taking a deep breath. "Let us show them what we've created. This isn't just about us. It's about preserving something valuable." Time slipped away faster than they anticipated. Before they knew it, the door swung open, and a rush of cool air followed the council members as they entered the bakery. They wore serious expressions, their presence bringing the tension to a palpable level. Mark's heart hammered in his chest. "Good morning," Mark greeted, his voice tinged with nervous energy. The council chair nodded, her brow furrowed slightly. "We appreciate you meeting us here. Let us get down to business." They all took a seat, and Mark felt dizzy under the weight of their expectations. Each member of the council seemed to scrutinize him, their eyes darting between him and the vibrant sketches of the festival spread across the table. Mark took a deep breath, calling up the stories that had ignited their spirits over the last week. As he spoke, he felt passion infusing every word. He painted a picture of a bustling festival, where families bonded over craft tents and children danced to local musicians. He could almost hear the laughter, the applause, and the buzz of the community surrounding them. But just as he began to feel the magic of their words pulling the council in, the chair interjected. "That sounds wonderful, Mark, but what about the funding?" Mark's heart sank. He had feared this question. Before he could formulate a response, Ella leaned in. "We've reached out to local businesses. Many are ready to contribute, eager to invest in this vision. This is not just an event, it's an improvement for our town as a whole. The connections we build today will fuel growth tomorrow. The council members exchanged glances but remained silent, leaving an uncomfortable pause. It was then that Mia spoke up, her voice surprisingly steady. And there are stories you haven't heard yet. Stories about how this bakery and our festival have touched lives in ways you can't imagine. We believe that true community spirit can defy expectations, even doubts. Just as she finished, the sound of scraping chairs broke the silence. Mark's pulse quickened as he rushed to gather thoughts and tighten their presentation. But to his disbelief, a council member, Mr. Thompson, finally spoke. I've been in this town long enough to know that changes don't come easy. If you truly want this festival to succeed, you'll have to do more than just dream, you'll need to fight. Mark felt the weight of the challenge staring him down. He hadn't prepared for this level of commitment. We are ready to fight, he said, his voice steady now. This festival is worth every ounce of effort. We believe it'll bring us all closer. The council members exchanged uneasy looks. Each heartbeat seemed to echo like a drum. What were they thinking? Mark could only hope they understood the gravity of what they were proposing. As tension hung thick in the air, a crackle of uncertainty stirred within him. But before he could ponder further, Mr. Thompson leaned back, studying Mark with an intensity that sent chills down his spine. Then prove it. With that, the stakes had been raised, and everything felt different. Would they rise to the occasion? Mark felt a fire ignite within him, but with it came the question what would truly be required to prove their worth. As they left the meeting, the weight of their challenge loomed larger than ever. But deep inside, Mark felt a flicker of resolve. They would have to write a new chapter, one driven by courage and commitment. What would it take to turn their dreams into reality? And as they stepped into the crisp air, Mark couldn't shake the sensation that a storm was brewing not just outside, but within themselves. What were they really ready to sacrifice for the sake of their community? The trio stepped onto the bustling street, the weight of the council's challenge still pressing heavily on their shoulders. Mark glanced at Ella and Mia, their faces etched with a mix of determination and fear. He breathed in the scent of fresh morning bread wafting from a nearby bakery, momentarily grounding himself. They were in this together, and against all odds, their dreams could still take flight. Did you see their faces? Mark said, trying to lighten the atmosphere. They looked like they'd just taken a bite of sourdough. Mia chuckled softly, the sound easing some of their tension. Yeah, but seriously, did we convince them? Ella rolled her eyes, a hint of mischief dancing across her features. If we didn't, at least we made them think about it. Even the worst critiques can lead to change. As they ventured farther down the street, a small crowd gathered around a busker playing a lively tune on his guitar. They stopped to listen, drawn in by the joyful energy. For a moment, Mark felt the vibrant spirit of community vibrate through the air, the melody wrapping around them like a warm embrace. It reminded him of why they were fighting to bring that spirit out in the open, to ignite passion and connection among their neighbors. I can't help but think we need to show the council how much this town loves festivals, Mia said. Maybe a little demonstration. Get everyone on board. That's not a bad idea, Mark replied. A community gathering to showcase what we envision. Ella nodded excitedly, her eyes shining bright. We could set up some activities, maybe even a mini version of what we want at the festival. If they see it, they can feel it. All right. Mark said, feeling the fire of hope flickering within him once more. Let us set a date. And we'll get the word out, rally the townsfolk. But as they walked away, Mark felt a tightening in his chest, the pressure of reality tugging at his mind. He hadn't thought about the logistics, the time, the costs. Could they pull it off in such a short time? Doubts crept in like the clouds that threatened to obscure the sun. Mia, can we talk? Ella said suddenly, her tone shifting. They stepped aside, and Mark could see the serious expression on Mia's face grow anxious. "What's up?" he asked, trying to read their gazes. Ella hesitated, then took a breath. "What if we're not ready for this? What if we put everything on the line and it just fails? How do we deal with that?" Mia nodded in agreement. "I get that feeling. We're betting on our entire future here. What if we lose everything, including the bakery?" Mark felt the weight of their words. It was one thing to dream, it was another to face the possibility of failure. "Listen," he said, stepping closer to them, "this isn't just about us. We've already changed something. Look at how many people are rallying around us. Not just for the bakery but for a shared vision. If we hold back now because of fear, we might miss something beautiful." Their faces softened, and Mark felt a spark of hope kindle again. They needed a collective vision, a shared heartbeat among the community. Gathering the townsfolk wouldn't just be about proving their worth to the council, it would be a demonstration of what unity could achieve. "Let us get to work," Mark said, determination blazing in his eyes. With newfound energy, they headed back towards the bakery, plans buzzing in their minds like the hum of happy chatter filling the air. They listed ideas, brainstormed activities, even considered special guests who'd draw in a crowd. Mark's heart raced with excitement. Yet, deep down, he knew they would need more than just enthusiasm. Perseverance. A plan that weathered potential storms. As they reached the bakery, Mark couldn't shake the notion that every festival started somewhere small, but it was the love and effort put into it that would propel it into something grand. But would love alone be enough? And just as they stepped inside, a new message popped up on his phone. It was from a local business owner he'd reached out to earlier. His fingers hovered over the screen, pulse quickening as he opened the text. What if it contained the support they needed or a hard truth he wasn't ready to face? Mark inhaled deeply, preparing himself for whatever was about to come. How many more surprises lay ahead on this journey? Mark's thumb brushed against the screen, and he took a second to steel himself before reading the message. Heart pounding, he finally opened it. "Hey Mark. I loved your idea. Count me in for the festival demonstration. Let's chat about how we can make this happen." Relief washed over him like a cool breeze on a hot summer day. His heart raced, feeling the first flicker of hope. Liz, the owner of the local bookshop, was a well-respected figure in the community. If she was on board, others would follow. "Who is it?" Ella asked, peering over his shoulder. "It's Liz from the bookstore." Mark exclaimed, unable to hide the smile creeping onto his face. "She's in. That's amazing." Mia clapped her hands, her earlier doubts fading momentarily. "If we can get more local businesses to join, we could have something really special." Mark nodded, the gears in his mind start to turn. "We need to reach out to everyone we can think of, the coffee shop, the florist, even the local artists. If we can show them the love we put into the bakery can extend to the entire town, that could make a real difference." As they brainstormed, ideas flowed like a bubbling brook. Activities like a bake-off, art displays, and even a community mural began to take shape in their minds. The fear that previously knotted their stomachs slowly unraveled, replaced by motivation. "Okay, let us split up the tasks," Mark suggested. "I'll call Liz right now to set a meeting. Mia, why don't you talk to the coffee shop? Ella, you'll reach out to the artists." They nodded in agreement, the energy in the room shifting from tentative to exhilarating. Just as they mapped out their roles, Ella's phone chimed. She glanced down, her expression shifting from excitement to confusion. "What is it?" Mark asked, noticing her hesitation. "It's from my aunt," she said, her voice wavering slightly. "She wants to discuss the bakery." "It sounds urgent." Mark exchanged glances with Mia. The last thing they needed was more complications. "Do you want to take it?" Mia asked. Ella debated for a moment, her brow furrowing. Yeah, I guess. I hope it's not bad news. Mark could see the uncertainty in her eyes. Everything's going to be fine. Whatever it is, we'll face it together. He gave her a reassuring smile, even as a pang of anxiety surged in his chest. Ella stepped away, her voice low as she answered the phone. Mark and Mia resumed their planning, though tension hung in the air like a fragile thread. What do you think she'll say? Mia finally asked, fiddling with her fingers. I don't know, Mark admitted, glancing toward Ella who had turned her back, her expression unreadable. I hope she'll just offer support. Minutes passed like hours before Ella returned, having ended the call. Her eyes were wide, a mix of worry and disbelief. They're thinking of selling the bakery, she stammered, her voice shaky. What? Mark's heart dropped as panic swept over him. This can't be happening. What did she say exactly? That they can't keep it running if we can't show them a solid plan for the festival. They need guarantees. The bakery is in jeopardy if we don't get more support. Mark's breath caught in his throat. The stakes were higher than he had thought. This was more than just a festival, it was about their home, their survival. How are we going to convince them? We just need a chance to show what the bakery can become, Mia said, her fists clenched. We won T quit, Mark said, his voice steady despite the turmoil inside him. We'll gather everyone we can. If the town sees how much we care about the bakery and the festival, they'll rally behind us. Ella's expression turned fierce. Then we gather everyone. We show them how much this matters. But as a flicker of determination ignited, Mark couldn't shake the feeling that time was running out. They had to act fast before it was too late. In that moment, a flicker of light caught his attention from the corner of his eye, an envelope slipping unnoticed through the bakery door. He frowned, puzzled. Was someone else joining the fray, or was it just more news they weren't ready for? Time to find out. Mark moved toward the door, curiosity pushing aside his anxiety. He opened it to discover a neatly folded envelope resting there. He picked it up, glancing around, but saw no one. It felt oddly out of place, like a message from the universe amidst the chaos swirling around them. Curious, he unfolded it. Inside were words written in neat cursive, together, we can uplift each other. Let us support the festival. His heart raced. This sentiment, this voice, felt so familiar. It was unsigned, but it resonated deeply with him. He rushed back inside, showing the sisters the message. Look at this. Someone's offering their support, but who? Ella scanned a few sentences, her expression shifting from confusion to determination. This is exactly what we need. Positive momentum. It means people care, we might not be alone in this. Mia's eyes lit up. What if we make this a campaign? We could start sharing these messages of support, collecting notes from the community, showing the council that people truly want this festival to happen. Great idea. We can even hang them up around the bakery. Every point of hope should be visible, Mark replied, urgency pushing him forward once again. Fueled by newfound energy, they set to work gathering stories from townsfolk. Over the next few days, they donned their bakery uniforms once again, and with every warm loaf they baked, they also collected messages of support. Neighbors came in droves, sharing their thoughts on why the bakery mattered and how it had impacted their lives. For every new note added to the wall, a sense of pride filled the air, reinforcing their resolve. One afternoon, as they posted up yet another note, the feeling of support started to seep into their bones. Look at this, Mia said, reading aloud. The bakery was the backdrop to my engagement. We can't lose such a place. It's about memories, not just profit. Exactly, Ella replied, her heart swelling at the connection they were making. It becomes about family, community, and love. The drive fueled them all the more, turning the bakery into a hub of creativity and unity. They decided to compile these heartfelt sentiments into a scrapbook they could present to the council, a physical representation of their community's spirit. As plans for the festival began to take solid form, Mark reached out to more local businesses. The response was overwhelmingly positive. They committed to participating, contributing food, and even hosting games. The buzz around town turned electric, and Mark slowly felt the whispers of doubt evaporate. It was happening. The day before the meeting with the council arrived, and Mark worked late into the night, piecing together a presentation complete with testimonials, a breakdown of contributions, and a visual representation of the festival layout. They wanted the council to see that this was not just a party, it was the heart of the community. As the morning sun kissed the bakery windows, Mark felt a strange mix of excitement and anxiety. All the hard work and love they had poured into this was culminating in today's meeting. Ella and Mia joined him, holding the scrapbook that contained the heartfelt notes gathered from the community. They walked to the council chambers, filled with hopeful anticipation. The streets bustled with life, a vivid reminder of what they were fighting for. "Ready?" Mark asked as they stepped into the building. "More than ever," Ella replied, her voice exuding strength. Mia placed a hand on Mark's back. "Together, we can do this." As they entered, the council members were seated, flipping through the bundle of notes. Mark took a deep breath, watching as the looks of skepticism began to thaw under the warmth of community support. He stepped forward, feeling the weight and warmth of his friends beside him. "Thank you for considering us again. Today, we'd like to show you something more than just a festival. This is about pulling our community together." There was a shift in the atmosphere, and as he spoke, he poured his heart into this moment, reflecting on each story, each smile, and the passion that filled their hearts. The sisters followed, sharing their laughter, the aroma of baking bread, and the love that infused every corner of their little bakery. As they wrapped up their presentation, Mark laid the open scrapbook before them, revealing a collection of heartfelt notes and memories. "Here lies our community's voice, vivid and undeniable. Together, we can make this festival a turning point. Not just for the bakery, but for us all." The council members exchanged whispers and thoughtful looks, and for a moment, hope hung in the air, tangible and real. With a nod, the council chair spoke. "You come back to us with an incredible presentation, one that conjures the spirit of this town. Let us get this permit in motion." Cheers erupted from the trio, disbelief blooming into joy. They had done it. Each struggle, every uncertainty, melted away in that moment. "I can't believe it," Mia exclaimed, her face shining with radiant happiness. "We did it together." Ella hugged Mark tightly, and he felt the warmth of her support. As they stepped out, a wave of gratitude washed over them. The festival wasn't just a day of fun, it was an embodiment of the unity they had fostered. The warmth of their community ignited a fire within Mark, illuminating a path he didn't know existed, a path he now sought to travel. With plans for the festival underway, Mark could see a brighter future for the bakery. It had started as a simple business, but it had blossomed into a beacon of connection, a place where memories would be made and cherished. As they looked toward the horizon, Mark knew this was just the beginning of something special. Friendship, resilience, and love would forever define their journey. This was their community, their heart, and they were ready to rise together for it. And in the spirit of what they had built, Mark felt a surge of gratitude for every moment that brought them here. Their fight was not only for the bakery, it was for every person who walked through the doors, for every loaf that cooled on the counter, and for the stories that would continue to unfold. Now more than ever, he understood the truth. Together, anything was possible. As they celebrated their victory, Mark felt a stirring inside him, a call to action that felt urgent. So, if you've been touched by this story, now is your chance to honor that connection. You need to subscribe now. This is the moment to show your support. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help us amplify these stories. Comment below with your reactions and feelings about this ending. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Together, let us spread the love, community, and the spirit of resilience.